In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to install VST2 as well as VST3 plugins within FL Studio. So for example, right now I have this VST plugin by NeoMoon open, which is controllable and playable within the DAW. But first, before we're able to open a plugin like this, we need to find a way to tell FL Studio how to find these plugins and then how to add them to our workspace. Now, just before jumping in, I want to remind you that at NeoMoon, we have a VST development course, which teaches creatives how to develop VST plugins from scratch without having to know how to code. So if that sounds like something that would be of interest to you, check out the link in the description below. Okay, so now let's jump in. To begin, click on Add in the top bar and then click on More Plugins. Then look at the bottom of this list until you see this Manage Plugins button and click that. Now here we can establish the folders where we have our VST plugins installed. Now FL Studio will have automatically created some default VST folders for you, but personally I like to organize my VSTs into a folder structure of my choosing. Again, by default, when you install FL Studio, it will likely have already found those folders for you. However, if you've installed VSTs into a custom folder structure after installing FL Studio, then you're going to need to tell the DAW where to find your new VSTs. Now notice in my case, I've created a VST plugin folder here for my VST2 plugins and another folder here in my program files folder for my VST3 plugins. To add a new folder for FL Studio to search in this list, simply click on this Add Folder icon here and then select the folder you want FL Studio to search. Now, once you've completed that step, simply click on Find Installed Plugins. Now, after scanning these folders, your plugins should now show up in the plugins list to the right. Now, if you select a plugin and then you click on this Plugins tab here, you'll see the details of the VST that you've highlighted. You'll notice that my VST2 plugins have the file extension .dll, while my VST3 plugins have the file extension .vst3. Now here, I can also rename my plugin. I can ensure that the right type is selected from the drop-down box here between Effect and Synth. And in order to be able to quickly add this VST into our track list, let's just favorite it now. Now this will make it accessible over in our arrangement view. But just before we add this VST into our track list, let's first add this VST plugin to a category. So for example, I'll add my NeoMoon plugin to a category called NeoMoon. Now, if you make changes to a plugin, it's important to remember to ensure that you click on this button that says Apply Changes. Now, if you followed all of the steps in terms of adding a VST plugin into FL Studio, it's going to be very easy to add it to your track list now. Now, in order to add a VST plugin into FL Studio, there are a few different paths we can take, but let me just show you one. First, let's click on Channel Rack by clicking on this icon here. Now, right-click on any of these channel buttons and then hover over or click on this Insert option, which you see here. Now you'll notice that your favorited plugins are showing up under the category subheader that you created in the previous step. So for example, my plugins are showing up under NeoMoon here. So I'll select the plugin that I want to add, and that's it. I can now play this VST. Now the VST plugin that you see in front of you now is a free testing plugin that we created over at NeoMoon Studios. So again, if you want to learn how to develop your own VST plugins without having to know how to code, head over to NeoMoon to learn more about our no-code VST development course. I'll link to this course in the description below. In this course, we'll teach you how to develop your own VSTs, just like the one you see in front of you now, from scratch without having to know how to code.